don't like the taste. I'm on and I'm on and I own my opponent. I'm always in the zone, either zoned out of zone. And then we could get it poppin', pick the topic. If you watchin', skippin' Shannon, skip the hoppin', took these sports and made it bounce. All right, undisputed.
Welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft, here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Hey, guys, good morning.
My man Shannon Sharp on his way to the Hall of Fame this afternoon, where you reside forever and ever.
Yeah,
right?
You know, I got a little temporary spot over there.
Yeah,
you know,
little
staycation.
So what I want to know is, are you going to take your man Terrell Owens along with you for the ride?
Well,
no?
I wish I could take T.O., but
I
T.O.
thought maybe you could talk him out of it, but nope.
Okay.
No. I told T.O., I said, T.O., man, that stage, man, can you imagine giving that speech on that stage? Dead serious. I'm going to be on a stage.
His own.
Just not that stage. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he has a great time with his family and friends. I wish he was there.
Hopefully.
But this is what he chose.
Morning.
Shan Jen at it again. The Wonder Twins.
Well, today.
I don't want to even touch it now.
Guys, we have a busy show, but we need to get started with what's happening in the college football world, and that is what's happening with Urban Meyer. He was put on paid administrative leave by Ohio State yesterday. This comes after the school announced they are investigating a claim that Urban Meyer knew about a domestic violence allegation from 2015 against one of his assistant coaches. That coach, Zach Smith, was fired last week. Meyer said he knew nothing about the allegation. Smith's ex-wife, who was the victim of the alleged assault, she said she told Urban Meyer's wife about the incident, and she believes he also knew. There are a lot of layers to this, Shannon, but how will it play out?
Now, we're going to need more information to come out, Skip. But knowing just a little that we know, I think it's going to be very, very hard for Urban Meyer to keep his job. If he were to keep his job, this will be his biggest win of his coaching career. Bigger than those national championships that he won. Because, Skip, in this day and time, with the Me Too movement and the way we view domestic violence, we look at those people differently, and we look at the people that's in a position of authority that could have done something and didn't do anything.
Yep.
We look at them differently. We hold them, now they're not as culpable as the person that committed the act, but we're starting to hold these people accountable because you're in a position of authority and you should have done something.
Yep. Now,
Urban is probably going to say, I didn't know, but plausible deniability, not knowing, because they're going to ask, why didn't you know? Now, the alleged victim says that she told Urban's wife. It's reported that she has a text message, and the wife responds and says, I'm going to tell Urban.
Well, there are dozens of them, but go ahead.
It's going to be hard for them to, because they've been married, I guess, almost 30 years. So now you're going to say, okay, you're going to tell Urban. You said you were going to tell Urban, but you didn't tell him. So in your 29 years of marriage, how many times have you not told Urban something? These coaches and coaches' wives, Skip, they're bonded at the hip because they have to be very, very understanding because they're basically raising the kids alone. And they talk to their significant other about every minute detail of what's going on. And even so, Skip, Shelley Meyer is an employee of Ohio State.
She is.
She has an obligation.
She's an instructor at the College of Nursing. Go ahead.
She has an obligation.
Under Title IX, she does.
Absolutely. Now, if we go back, we know that Urban kind of ran a loose program at Florida.
Oh, they had 31 arrests while he was
in
there.
a 5-year span. Now, granted, he tried to tighten the reins down a little bit, but maybe he was tightening the reins down with players and let one of his coaches slip through the cracks and not hold them accountable like he was holding his players. Skip, I believe it's going to be very, very hard. I say there's a less than 5% chance that Urban Meyer will remain the head coach of Ohio State University because these are some very serious allegations. And because they asked him media day, Skip, he's like, where do you guys come up with this story? Knowing, because it's reported he had intervened in 2009. So he knew that this was a possibility. He knew what this young man was capable of. I get it. The guy in question is the grandson of Urban Meyer's mentor. Started as a 25-year-old intern, kind of worked his way up through the ranks. So Urban has an affinity. He has an infatuation because he feels the guy that got him starting in coaching that means the most to him, that's his blood. I owe it to him. But you owed it to this victim. If this is true, Skip, he owed it to this victim to let this young man go and to help get this young lady out of harm's way. He didn't do that. So if any of this is true, and it's going to be hard to get this down, but you got one thing before I go, Skip. Remember how he got the job. Jim Tressel didn't know or said he didn't know that his players were trading Ohio State gear for tattoos.
Yep.
That was nothing compared to this. And he lost his job.
He did.
It's going to be almost impossible for Urban to keep his job.
Which is why I am 99.99999% certain he will not keep his job, because I am 99.99999% certain he knew everything about what was going on domestically between this couple. And back to your point, Earl Bruce, for 9 seasons, was the head coach of The Ohio State University from 1979 to 1987. And he is the one, to your point, who gave Urban Meyer his first job in college coaching as a GA, just
grad assistant.
Grad assistant. That was when Urban was 22 and 23 years of age in 86 and 87. At that point, Earl Bruce had a grandson named Zach Smith. And Urban knew the grandson was only 2 or 3 years old at this point, but he knew of him. He knew him as a kid as he was growing up. So Zach Smith, I think we could go so far as to say, is like a son to Urban Meyer.
Yep.
So did he overprotect the young man who is like a son to him? I think so. And he readily admits that the incident that took place when Zach Smith was a graduate assistant for him at Florida in 2009, he knew all about that because he said he and Shelley counseled the couple about how to sort through the fact that he was arrested for domestic violence against a pregnant woman. And guess who went to that pregnant woman and talked her out of pressing charges? Earl Bruce, the grandfather, went to Courtney Smith, Zach Smith's wife, and said, hey, you can't do this to him because if you press charges, he will never coach again. That was in 2009. And as many domestic violence victims do, she backed off. And it continued. And I'm pretty sure because Shelley knew that Urban knew everything. Is it long shot possibility that Shelley, being a longtime head coach's wife, tried to protect him from this, shield him from this, to give him plausible deniability, as you suggest? Maybe, but highly doubtful. It's just there's too much. There are too many incidents. It went on and on and on. It even evolved into stalking after she filed for divorce. So he had to know. And then the fact that at the Big Ten Media Day, he just stood there, and it looked to me like he just blatantly lied about knowing about anything about the 2015 incident or anything that's happened since then. Said he had a staff check on it, then they know nothing. Baloney. This is the guy who's like a son to you.
And head coaches at these universities, Skip, I guarantee you, he can tell you every player that didn't come to study hall the night before. He can tell you there's 105 to 120 players. He can tell you every one that didn't show up to class. In a situation like this, he knows nothing. So,
to your big picture point, is it possible that just maybe even a year or so ago, that Urban Meyer could skate on this because Ohio State would just sort of stonewall the media and just say business as usual, onward and upward? But life has changed for the better because now it's a new day. Eyes have been opened. We've all been enlightened because so many women have stood up and said, no more. We will not accept boys will be boys, or this is just the way men are. We will not accept it anymore. So we had the scandal at Baylor and we had the scandal at Michigan State because they both tried to sweep all of the above under the carpet. And it sounds like Urban was sweeping all this under his carpet, as he's probably done on other incidents of this nature before. But it's a new day, starting with the Me Too movement, obviously, and everything else that has opened all of our eyes. And there's no more see no evil. Will not be allowed anymore. So I do not see how Urban Meyer is going to keep his job. And I was pleasantly surprised that The Ohio State University yesterday put him on even paid administrative leave. I thought they just let him go on for a while they said, we're going to investigate this.
Well, they're going to do their due diligence, Skip. But if you look at it, if you look at the instances in which you talked about, let's go back to Penn State. Everybody that was there when Joe Paterno was doing, they got rid of him. If you didn't know, you should have known. You look at Michigan State, the people that were in authority that was over this Nasser, this doctor, they had to go. Art Browse lost his job. A lot of Ken Starr lost his job at Baylor. You didn't know, you should have known. We believe you did know. You're trying to cover your tracks. And maybe this is a situation where Urban Meyer saying, look, I get it. You're trying to protect this young man, but in the process, you're also protecting yourself.
Yep.
Because this is going to look very, very unfavorable on you that you had this type of individual working for you, especially if this happened back then. Well, I guess the incident goes back to 2009?
Yeah.
And then here we are in 2015. This happened and continues to go on. So it's going to look negatively on you. I agree, Skip. We will need more to come out, but it's hard for me to believe that after 29 plus years of marriage, when she texts back and says, I'm going to tell Urban, that she did not tell Urban. It's hard. They could have skipped it.
No, the alleged victim did say, I never heard back. I never got confirmation that she told Urban, but we're just going to presume that she did. So, Jenny Taft, in covering college football for Fox Sports 1, you have spent a good deal of time in and around the Ohio State University football program. Your thoughts?
I wanted to start by saying that because last year, Ohio State was the team I was around the most. I interviewed Urban multiple times. I interviewed the players, and the program has been nothing but good for me in that sense. But it almost made the story that much more shocking because it hit me differently.
Right.
I feel, and we don't know what Urban Meyer knew and didn't know. We still need to find out more. But my problem is this program demands excellence on and off the field, and it's what they live by. Urban Meyer is more than a head football coach.